All right, today's topic is sleep and recovery as it relates to performance. It'll be led by Neil Platt.
All right, as Tony just said, we're looking today at the effects or the lack thereof or the extension of sleep as it relates to athletic performance. The effects of sleep loss or lack of regarding athletic performance are numerous. Extensive research has been done to show the impact that sleep debt has on cognitive function, mood, and physical performance. Quick side note here, sleep debt is the difference in how much sleep your body needs versus how much you actually get. So think of it kind of, you need 8 hours of sleep, you get 6, the next night you need 10. This deficit grows continually until you pay it back. The effects of the sleep debt are felt daily. You feel tired, groggy, irritable, you're just not performing at your peak. The good news is this sleep debt can be repaid. It'll take time, but it can be done. And kind of back to the performance side here. A quick Google search will reveal numerous studies that have highlighted the detrimental effects on athletic performance, but very few have really set out to look at it the other way, in which can athletic performance be improved by extending the amount of sleep you get? Now, there was one study done by Sherry Ma and her colleagues at Stanford University. This was conducted over the course of 2 college basketball seasons with their men's team. They had 11 players who were otherwise healthy, no history of sleep or psychological disorders. Now, the subjects were, so the players were required to maintain their normal sleep habits, which were about 6.5 hours per night for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on their schedule. This was then followed by 5 to 7 weeks of a sleep extension period in which they were required to get 10 plus hours of sleep a night. Now, if they couldn't get the full 10 hours, they would supplement this with afternoon naps. So within a 24-hour period, their goal was a minimum of 10 hours of sleep. Now, when this was conducted, they ran a series of tests. They did time sprint tests and shooting accuracy, which were measured after every practice. Reaction time, daytime sleepiness, and mood were monitored via psychomotor vigilance tasks, a couple sleep scales, just to keep an eye on how players were feeling as well as how they were performing. The results were pretty substantial. Their sprint times improved by nearly a second, that's huge. Their free throw percentage increased by over 9%, and their three-point percentage increased by 9.3%. The daytime sleepiness was reduced, fatigue levels decreased, athletes reported improved overall feelings of physical and mental well-being during practices and games. The conclusion for this study was, based on the findings, that optimal sleep is likely beneficial for reaching your athletic peak. And there were several reasons for this. It was pointed out that the mental approach is often critical for training and competition. With increased sleep, subjects reported improved self-perception of performance during practices and games. Their testimonials suggested a quicker physical recovery, an improved strength and conditioning session, and fewer injuries. So therefore, they were able to train harder, recover quicker, overall felt better. Now, it was pointed that extra sleep beyond the 10 hours might not be as beneficial, so there might be an optimal window as far as what it is. They weren't quite sure, but increasing sleep helped. So those were the big findings as far as that goes. As far as ways to increase sleep and how to get better at it, because I know a lot of people have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. It's pointed out that going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, getting into a routine, making it a habit is very important. Keeping to the same schedule on weeknights and weekends, so not going really well Monday through Thursday and then Friday night hits, you're out till 2. Same thing on Saturdays. Try to avoid those as much as possible. Try to get your body on a normal sleep-wake rhythm. Use the hour before bedtime as kind of a quiet time. Try to avoid bright lights. There's an app on your Apple phone. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it actually dims the blue light. That can help. Avoid large meals if you have trouble with that. avoiding caffeine after a certain time. I know certain people that, they know, like, I can't have caffeine after 2 o'clock, but also I'm not going to sleep. Spend a little bit of time active every day. That helps. Whatever you can do, any kind of relaxation technique, stretching, foam rolling, anything like that to really help wind down is beneficial. So those were really kind of the main points with that I really found interesting.
So that lends credence to the fact we've got to train the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
To be as active as possible, as soon as possible, relative to when you're going to go to bed.
Yes.
Just like you would get up and brush your teeth and comb your hair and take a shower and eat and start to get your sympathetic state of arousal ready. It's the same at the end of the day. And I think I don't know if enough people understand that you treat the same mechanisms that have different effects.
Yes.
So all those examples are all perfect, but I don't know if enough people heed those.
No, not at all. And it's crucial. If we're talking purely athletics, the sooner you can get to that parasympathetic state after training, the better.
Yes.
You want to start that recovery process immediately.
So if we're talking athletes, does this apply to general population that trains?
Yeah, absolutely. I know, some people train in the mornings and then they got to go to work. So you obviously don't want to go into work half asleep. But if you can, after work, after your day's done, start integrating these strategies to really start winding down, as soon as you can after you're done being up.
What would you say is the window? If I go to bed at 11, what's the window that I need to start prepping my nervous system to wind down?
It's different for everybody. For me, I can really kind of wind down in about an hour. Other people, it takes longer. Other people, shorter. But as soon as you can after you're done being up, I would say. Just start that unwinding process. Start recovering. You're not really going to recover if you're just up. If your sympathetic system is in control, your body's not capable of going through all of the recovery processes that it needs to enhance your performance, whether it's athletic performance, you're just training to look good, whatever it is. So as soon as you can do it after you're done being up, the better.
So bringing everybody in, what are some strategies you guys have used that help you get ready to go to bed?
I know for me, I read. I have to read a little bit. I use my phone just automatically dims the light, so I don't have a bright light in my face. But I have to read and I'll read anything, whether it's articles on ESPN or, just news articles, anything like that for about a half an hour. Really helps with that.
I know for me, most days I'm going until I crash, more or less. So it's 30 minutes. I can come in, I can do the brush teeth, get ready for bed routine, and then just lay down and knock out.
Done.
But there's some days where, I'm like, the mind's going or the body's not quite ready to wind down. And usually for me, again, it's reading or it's putting in my like earbuds or some background music of like just classical or like even just real soft like acoustic music, where it's something that kind of, for me, that helps, especially the classical, just kind of unwinding, calming down everything, and kind of wiping the mind clean.
Yeah, you're like my wife. Like, I hate you people that can wind down in like 15 minutes and go straight to sleep. I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. It takes me a lot longer, mainly because it takes me a lot longer to get my mind to just shut down. Reading will work, but it can't be stuff that I'm, what's the word I'm looking for, actively thinking about, like continued education for this place. I can't do that because my mind will start turning, the gears will start turning, and then I'm not tired. It's got to be something like science fiction novel or something that just completely checks me out. Also, contrary to what they recommend, I like to watch like a movie, something I've seen before. Again, like sci-fi, something that's not going to make me think much, that just kind of checks me out of this world. And then I can pass out usually pretty quick. But for me, it's a long process. It's pretty bad. Like I'll take sleep aids to help me. I go against everything that you probably should do before you go to bed.
All right, so delete the last 2 minutes of what you just heard.
Yeah, exactly. Very similar to the nutrition one that we had for me. But yeah, those are my methods on a personal level. Not to say that would work. So
Well, like you said, it's everyone's unique formula.
yeah, exactly. Everyone's different.
I found that diaphragmatic or belly breathing guaranteed every night. Guaranteed for me. And it's simple as laying on your back, one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, and just focusing about 80 to 90% of your movement on your belly through your diaphragm and very little through your chest. And it knocks me out. I almost feel like, I know it sounds weird, but I feel like my parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, if there is such a thing. But it completely relaxes me. My brain's still active, so that's not a complete panacea for me. But as far as like physically relaxing, always deep breathing for me is what works. But how many people are going to take the time to do that?
Yeah.
So you got to kind of find that happy medium, what you can do versus what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
How many 18-year-olds are going to do this too?
Yeah.
So we almost have to meet them where they're comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And say, just do a little bit of these. And yeah, play with your phone a little bit, but not the whole night. Not at 3 in the morning.
Yeah. That or let alone sleep 10 hours a night. I mean, just to try extending by an hour.
Yeah.
At a time, as opposed to going from the average of 6.5, maybe 7 hours to 10. Try 7 hours to 8 hours.
And can napping be included in that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's interesting with me. Like I can't nap or else I won't sleep well that night because I don't know how to explain it, but I used to be able to nap in college. I think probably because I was getting like 4 hours of sleep at night. But now if I take a nap, then I have a lot of trouble going to sleep. Activity, which Neil said earlier, is a key with me. Like yesterday, our first extreme boot camp, I was done. I mean, I hit the pillow, and within 10 minutes, I was gone. And it was the best sleep I've gotten in months. A lot of times, the more active I am, and I just physically wear myself down, then it's like the physical aspect of me takes over. It shuts my mental processes down. It's like, you got to go. You got to sleep. So that's my key, is the activity aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one reason I've never struggled with going to sleep because
Well, you
it's
don't
always
stop, yeah.
it's always one thing and the next, whether it's a meeting or agenda or like the next workout, like get to and be done with. And yeah, by the end of the day, I am
Toast.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So it's cranky, don't talk to me. I'm going up and my head's hitting the pillow. So
Did you find anything about how sleep affects cognition?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you speak on that?
Yeah. When they looked at a lot of the test scores with these athletes, this was really the big study I went through, and it really is amazing. If anybody wants more information, Sherry Ma, Stanford University sleep study was incredible. All of their test scores improved in terms of their mood, daytime sleepiness, and cognition. They all performed better on their cognitive tests.
Did it say what the cognitive test was or were?
They had the psychomotor vigilance task, which was a series of, they had like survey questions that they would have to answer every day based on how they feel, their perception of different situations. They all scored better. They also did a profile of mood states. Again, a lot of Q&A with test administrators. The administrators were trained in how to seek the answers, how the athletes responded to certain questions. What I did find very interesting within this study, I'm just going to read it right from it, pretty much direct quotes, how the traditional focus of both off-season and in-season training has been on the daily training, conditioning, weightlifting, nutrition, and coaching. the athletes misperceived the amount of sleep that was required to perform at their peak. They all thought that they were in the best shape of their lives because they had just come out of their preseason type of stuff. So they were at their peak, they thought, athletically, until they extended their sleep. And they all noted they performed better physically and mentally. That was one of the big things I got out of it. All of these 18 to 22-year-olds thought they were at their peak, were blown away by just what's changing sleep. That was the only thing that changed how much better they performed. I mean, a 9% increase in your free throw shooting and three-point shooting is huge.
I can win a game.
And that's huge. And you're talking about a second difference in your sprint times. That's huge.
Mhm.
That's a difference between getting to a loose ball before your opponent does, getting out on a fast break, or we got to set up in the half court. It's huge.
So it's probably safe to say that sleep is the most potent performance enhancer, ergogenic aid out there.
Absolutely.
It's just not something you can buy.
No, I mean, it's by far the best.
Okay. And going back to the cognition part, we talked about how if you don't get into certain waves or deep sleep, that the cerebrospinal fluid can't be released, and it kind of clears up all the junk and all the plaque in your brain. And so if you're just talking about pure cognition or academic improvements, especially if you're a student athlete, you're minimizing your chances of having a good test score, a good grade, good GPA simply by not sleeping enough.
Mhm.
And we've all been to college. We know pulling all-nighters is as common as anything else that goes on there. And it should be the opposite. To get a good grade on that test tomorrow, just shut it down and go to bed. And that's a tough sell to some kids who feel like more studying is going to give them a better grade, when they're going to wake up and they're going to be all tangled and maybe not thinking clearly and have a fuzzy brain versus a clear brain.
Mhm.
So that's a hard habit to break. I think that's a big key too, is if you've got something intellectually coming up the next day, which is probably everything in your life, that having literally a clear brain
Mhm.
is probably as important as having a restored or recovered body.
Mhm.
All right. Any other closing thoughts? Best practices, I think, is always good. Maybe for like student athletes, 22 and below, and then general population.
Mhm.
We've touched on them all, but more as a summary point.
Yeah, I mean, all of your coaches have probably told you to get a good night's sleep the night before a game. It goes far beyond that. Think of the sleep aspect as, like it was said in the study, that's, you have your nutrition, your coaching, your weightlifting, your conditioning, and your sleep. That's part of the entire continuum of getting better and performing at your peak. So don't treat it just like before the night of game, I gotta get a good night's sleep. It's every day. Get a good night's sleep every day. Find what works for you. And we mentioned a lot of the strategies: belly breathing, stretching, physically active during the day, read if you need to, watch a movie, whatever it is that helps you wind down as soon as possible.
It's almost like you got a sleep bank.
Yeah.
And you need to deposit.
Well, yeah, like we said right off the bat, sleep
Yeah.
debt. Minimize your sleep debt as much as you can to really help yourself perform.
Yeah. Any other best practices? Student athletes, adults, all the above?
I mean, don't go off of me, but I mean, the latter part of my collegiate career, I used to pull all-nighters a lot, and I finally realized I was much better with test taking when I would just put the books away at like 11 o'clock. I'd have a 8 a.m. exam, maybe, for example, and just focus on sleeping. I would perform a lot better rather than staying up until 4 a.m. trying to cram as much as I could in, because then it's like counterproductive. I would go in there, like you said, fuzzy, and I wasn't thinking clear. My grades would show that. So I would, rather than go that extra mile and study for 4 extra hours, I would just put them away. Like, this is it. I just gotta live with it, and I would do better. That's just me, though. That's not saying that works for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. All right, this is part one. That was more performance. part 2 next time will be as it relates to body composition, metabolism, being overweight, and being obese. So I think you'll hear some of the same things, but as it relates more to general population, specifically the obese population, which seems to have a direct link to sleep deprivation and being overweight. Thanks for listening.